When you've got to deliver hundreds of pounds of fish across the state, the count matters.
9 and 17/16.
It's fish stocking day at Page Springs Hatchery, and that means feed them,
You don't want to feed them too fast or too slow.
wrangle them,
There's about 20,000 fish in each one of these raceways is what we call them.
and get them on the trucks.
I need 159 pounds, 330 fish.
Fishing in Arizona is a huge recreational sport. According to Arizona Game and Fish, more than 250,000 anglers bust out their rods and reels every year for a chance to catch one of these slippery fellows. And they aren't just buying bait. Anglers spend an estimated $830 million on equipment and trip-related expenses in Arizona every year.
On average, Page Springs Hatchery produces about 640,000 catchables that we stock throughout the state of Arizona.
That's why the employees at the Page Springs Hatchery are up at dawn, hitting the raceways every day.
It's a pretty labor-intensive job. I mean, on any given day, we'll feed close to 1,000 pounds of feed by hand.
There shouldn't be any food on the bottom.
Wednesdays, we clean the tanks. That's all done by hand.
And then, of course, there's getting the fish from the sheltered life of the nursery to the freedom of Arizona's lakes and rivers. It requires a deft race
Your markets that go.
with a net full of trout. Over and over again.
This is all for the sportsmen, men and women in Arizona that like to fish. So if you buy a hunting or fishing license, this is where your dollars are going.
Anglers, in a sense, pay for the privilege of having their dinner raised and weaned by professionals.
The federal tax on that stuff. So Arizona, the Game and Fish, doesn't get any general fund money, so we don't get any taxpayer money. It's all license fees.
The program is paid for through a combination of license fees, a cut of a federal fund that taxes fishing equipment purchases, and in the case of urban lakes,
Okay, here we go.
cities pitch in and pay Game and Fish to bring fish to the people. The community fishing program is a separate animal, so to speak.
Beautiful fish.
These catfish aren't homegrown.
That was 500 pounds of fish.
They're trucked in from Arkansas, often several times a month.
Here in the Phoenix, our program alone generates about $7 million just in revenue to the state of Arizona's economy.
Joanne Hill and her team are responsible for stocking 40 fishing waters in 19 communities across the state.
Drop them right in.
And it's not as simple as just getting them to water.
Conductivity.
They use these drops as opportunities to check the health of the state lakes and ponds, conduct research, and gauge angling activity.
So we're checking for temperature, pH, oxygen, plus another measurement called conductivity. So we want to make sure that the water's good before we put the fish in here.
The anglers, who can track stocking schedules online, anxiously watch while the fish get their first and possibly last taste of freedom. If they're jumping, Hill knows they're settling in.
Yeah, they look really good.
And she can load up,
On to the next lake.
moving on the mission to bring fish to the people.